welcome to the channel. Thank you for tuning in. We're gonna go on a ride with our beautiful Sportster S. Let's go, guys, let's go. I want to talk about a couple of things. Really want to give you my first impressions on this motorcycle. Some of you may know, if you watch my channel, I have an Indian Scout Barber. So this is officially my second motorcycle. And I bought a Harley Davidson, even though I have an Indian Scout Barber. So it's interesting, right? But I want to give you guys my first impressions. It's got a little bit over 1,000 miles on it. The reason I'm saying first impressions because I bought this bike with around 900 miles on it. So it's not been that long ago since I started riding this, almost a month. And as you can see, I'm in sports mode. This motorcycle is incredible. So what do I like about this bike, and what are my first impressions? So this bike is all about this 1250T, T for torque, Revolution Max engine. That's really what this bike is about. The engine is part of the chassis. That's how important this engine is. This engine is all this bike is about. And that's the reason, that's what impressed me the most about this motorcycle. It is a beast. When I see a beast, remember, this is not a sports bike. This is not a cruiser either. They call it the Sportster. It's on its own league in the sense it's for people who want a cruiser but really don't want a cruiser, who wants to get a sport bike but really not a sport bike rider. They want it all. They want that muscle, they want that power. That's what this bike is about. The number one reason to get this bike is this engine, guys. This engine is incredible. The power delivery is incredible. There is power on every gear all throughout the rev range. I'm at 23,500 RPM maybe right now. There is plenty. If I just give this throttle a little bit, it just goes like, and it's the delivery is very smooth in the sense it's not jerky, it's not in some parts of the rev range, it's everywhere. There's power throughout this rev range from top to bottom. That's what I love about it. It's so smooth. It's not like any other Harley. If you're a Harley fanboy, if you're not a Harley fanboy, it doesn't really matter. What really this is about is how well this engine is built and how well the power delivery and the torque is there for you all throughout your riding time. I know you start the bike, you speed up, you go through corners. I'm going at 30 miles, 35 miles, no problems. It's not asking you to do much. There's a lot of cars here. Wow. It just gives you that power that is usable. So again, I keep talking about the engine, but guys, this engine is amazing. And we're gonna get into a parkway soon, and you will see what I'm talking about. You know, few other things. You know, a lot of people look at this bike, look at this big huge front tire. If you can see this, they say, oh my god, it's hard to ride, it's not nimble. Not true. that means you haven't ridden this bike. That's why you're saying that. This bike is so nimble. It doesn't have no problems going through the corners. You can flip this around just like you would in any other bike. And I can tell you, I have an Indian Scout Bobber, and this one actually goes through the corners better than my Indian Scout Bobber. The only thing that you may notice is when sometimes you got to push it a little bit down, you know, when you're going through the corner, if you're really, but it's really not even noticeable. You get used to it so quick, and that could be because of the front tire. But if you ride it for like a week, a month, then you get so used to it, it's you don't even notice it. So it is nimble, it is agile, it's very easy to ride, it's inviting to ride. Just get on it and go. That's it. It's very easy. It's 500 pounds you know, weight, but you don't notice that at all. It's easy to ride. The third piece I want to talk about is the technology. You know, I'm not huge, I don't really need all the technology, but folks, this has got every technology you can think of. It's got cornering ABS, it's got traction control, it's got like stability control, all kinds of stuff, anti-wheelie. Then you look at this digital gauge, it's a powerhouse. It's got like almost everything you can think of, cruise control, all the technology you need, Bluetooth connection, you can listen to music or listen to some radio station, I don't know. It's got all, and heated grips is optional. There's a button right there for heated grips. You can actually install heated grips. So all kinds of technology. I mean, it's a very modern motorcycle. You know, it's really geared towards the younger generation, maybe. It's really geared towards people who want all those technology, you know, all that kind of stuff. But it's just good to have. It's there. You know, you use it or you don't use it, I don't think it really matters. You use it if you want. If you don't use it, it's still there. The fact that it's got all kinds of safety features in this motorcycle, I think it's great. It's really awesome to see. You know, so that's something to notice. Another thing I want to talk about, you know, a lot of people look at this bike and they say, look at that seat. It's probably very hard. You saw that, right? You saw the pickup, how quick it can get to speed. That's what I'm talking about. All right, buddy, you gotta keep going. You don't know what's behind you, man. So the seat, I know the seat is not big, it's skinny, and the suspension, a lot of people talk about the suspension like, oh, it's got no travel in the back. Remember, Harley Davidson actually tells you how to adjust the suspension based on your weight. First thing, once you get this bike, make sure you do that. I did that for this bike, and this suspension is better than my upgraded suspension in my Indian Scout Bobber. So the Indian Scout Bobber, the company, the stock suspension is garbage, horrible. The rare suspension I'm talking about. But I had to upgrade that suspension. I bought a great Racing Bros adjustable suspension, and I also changed the seat on my Scout Bobber. But I gotta say, this one stock actually does a better job than my upgraded suspension and seat on the Indian Scout Bobber. So there's a lot of misinformation out there, but you should ride it to know. That's really what I'm talking about. It's not as bad as people make it to be. People have different opinions about the look on this motorcycle, right? Does it look good? How about the exhaust that is sitting kind of like up top? I gotta tell you, this bike looks so much better in person than in pictures. So when you look at the pictures, unless you take some really good professional pictures, it actually doesn't look that great. But when you see this bike in person, it looks amazing. I like it, no problems. People look at this and like, wow, what is that? It's not a huge bike, but it's a muscle bike. It's got it's an American muscle cruiser, not cruiser, muscle bike, really. So it's short, it's not that long, but it's bulky. It's got a stand, which is really nice. It does have a presence. I wouldn't do too much modifications on this bike, to be honest with you. I think the only thing I probably want to do is just do a tail tidy and fender delete. Otherwise, I'm pretty happy with the way it looks. So yeah, just the tail tidy and fender delete is probably what I'm thinking about. What else? So it's a lot of complaints about, people talking about they're getting diagnostic codes, error codes. So after I got this bike, I had some issues with the battery. It took me, when I took delivery of the motorcycle, it was not starting. It's kind of disappointing when you get the bike, you just want to take it for a spin, but it was not starting. And that was because of the battery. They transported it and the battery the charge went off. So I plugged it into a battery tender in my garage, let it charge for almost overnight, and the following day I was able to start it, I was able to ride it, no problems at all. So I think Harley should have done a better job with the battery. This bike's got so much electronics, so much gadgets in it. I think they should have put a little bit more powerful battery on this thing, which they didn't, and that's probably why the battery is not that great. I can tell it from my very short experience in few days. So that's one complaint I have, is they should have had a better battery on this motorcycle. Another thing I want to talk about is the wind. So you do get a lot of the wind right your whole body. It's like you're sitting almost like on top of this bike. Very aggressive, to be a little bit aggressive, I think, and the wind is right on you. So I think it is fine if it's not a big windy day, but if it's really a windy day, you may have an issue. I think there is a windshield that Harley is selling, which is literally over 400 bucks. Ridiculous. I don't know where these guys come up with this kind of price on these things, but that may help. I'm actually, there is also other options through AliExpress and few other Chinese companies or whatever. you know, that you may be able to get something cheaper, but $400 for a windshield, like, come on, dude. Harley, come on. You can't, like, you pay so much for this bike, and that's ridiculous in my opinion. But the good thing is that I'm not a big fan of windshields. Okay, so windshields, me personally think, makes the bike look uglier, but I may actually just get one for this bike, because for the power and the way you ride this motorcycle, I think the windshield is probably a good idea. And look at the way it rides, man. I mean, it's like, it goes smooth. And just going back to that power delivery, what I like about the power delivery is, like, it's effortless. It's got so much power underneath. When you twist the throttle, it's not like it's working too hard. It's like, yeah, let's go. You're like, let's go. And this is like, yeah, let's go. That's it. There is no struggle to get that power out and keep this motorcycle going, which is incredible. And it's very smooth, by the way, very smooth. The gear change is almost like too smooth that, you know, you don't even feel it. It's sometimes, some people don't like it, so that's something you want to think about. I would say if you're in the market for Indian Scout Bobber rocket, Triumph rocket type motorcycle, this is something you definitely want to explore. So Indian Scout Bobber, I just want to mention about that motorcycle because that's my second bike. It's a great motorcycle too, and it actually goes, you can go like 120 miles an hour, no problems. But the difference between an Indian Scout Bobber and this motorcycle is how quickly and how smoothly and effortlessly you get the power. So for Indian Scout Bobber, you got to shift down to 5th gear, just so, you know, just rub it in, and you got to get past the 4,000 RPM for it to actually show its true character. Here, it's from the beginning to the end, it's got power. That's the beauty about this motorcycle. So it all depends on what type of riding you do and what you want. So if you're gonna tell somebody, you know what, guys, I'll meet you at 6:30, and you're riding this motorcycle, you're gonna get there at 6 o'clock. It's beautifully fast, an amazing machine, and it's a beast. So give me some comments on what motorcycle you ride. If you have a Sportster S, just comment below. Help me grow this channel. Like, subscribe. I will be doing a full comparison of Sportster S with the Indian Scout Bobber. I will be also doing a very detailed review of this motorcycle and some of the mods and everything else that I'm planning to do in this motorcycle. So just stay tuned. Subscribe again. Thank you so much for watching. It's really for the community, you know, and I want all of you to ride safe. Enjoy, guys.